I trusted my son with everything. My home, my savings, even my medical decisions. So when I found a sealed letter hidden behind my dresser, addressed to me, but marked "Do not open," I realized something terrifying. They were waiting for me to disappear. My name is Margaret Collins, and I am 74 years old. I've lived in a quiet suburb of Ohio for most of my life. The kind of place where neighbors wave, lawns are trimmed, and people still believe family means safety. After my husband passed away 8 years ago, the house became painfully quiet. Every creak reminded me I was alone. My son Daniel insisted I shouldn't live by myself anymore. He said it lovingly, at least it sounded loving. "Mom, let me help," he said. "You don't need to worry about anything." At first, I was grateful. He helped with groceries, bills, doctor visits. Eventually, he suggested something that felt practical. "Let me manage your finances," he said. Just to make things easier, I signed the papers. Power of attorney, medical decisions, bank access. I told myself this was what good mothers did, trusted their children. But slowly, things changed. Daniel began deciding when I could leave the house, when I needed permission to spend my own money. He said it was for my safety, for my memory, for my health. When I asked questions, he smiled tightly and said, "Mom, you're confused again." That word confused became his weapon, and I didn't realize yet. He had already made plans for my life after I was gone. But the real betrayal didn't begin with money, it began with silence. Daniel moved into my house temporarily. That temporary stay turned permanent. His wife followed. Then their rules followed. My bedroom door stayed closed more often. My mail stopped reaching me. My phone calls became monitored. I once overheard Daniel on the phone saying, "Once Mom's condition worsens, it'll be easier." My condition. I was still driving, still cooking, still thinking clearly. But suddenly, I was treated like a burden. They replaced my favorite chair because it took up space. They sold my late husband's tools without asking. They spoke about me in the third person while I was in the room. One afternoon, I asked about my savings account. Daniel snapped, "Why are you obsessed with money? You don't need to worry about that anymore." That night, I cried quietly in bed, wondering when my own home had stopped feeling like mine. Weeks later, while cleaning, I accidentally knocked over the dresser. Something slid out from behind it, a white envelope. My name was written on it in Daniel's handwriting. Across the front were four chilling words: "Do not open until necessary." My hands shook, because I was still here, still alive. And what was inside that envelope would change everything I believed about my family. I waited until everyone was asleep. I opened the envelope. Inside was a notarized document. It outlined a living trust I had never approved. My house already transferred. My savings reassigned. My medical decisions restricted. There was even a section discussing end-of-life readiness. I felt sick. This wasn't planning. This was preparation. I realized something then. They weren't caring for me. They were waiting me out. The next morning, Daniel noticed the envelope on my table. His face changed. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said quietly. That was the moment fear left me and clarity replaced it. I contacted an attorney that same week. A kind woman who listened patiently and told me the words I will never forget. "Margaret, this is elder financial abuse." With her help, I revoked the documents, froze the accounts, filed reports. When Daniel was served papers, he didn't apologize. He yelled. He blamed me. He said, "You ruined everything." But for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. What happened next shocked the entire family. Daniel moved out within a month. Neighbors I hadn't seen in years came by once the truth spread. People I thought had forgotten me suddenly remembered. I changed my locks. I reclaimed my name. I rewrote my will. Most painfully, I rewrote my understanding of love. Family does not mean control. Care does not require silence. Trust should never erase your voice. Today, I speak up. I tell other seniors, read everything, question everything, and never believe it's too late, because I was almost erased while still breathing. And if I hadn't found that letter, I don't know where I would be now. If you're listening to this and something feels wrong, trust that feeling, because love doesn't hide papers behind dresses.